Alrighty, I have a interesting video here for you. So this is actually me in a breakaway, which almost never happens. Uh, there were six of us, I believe. Um, there were three guys that broke away, and then two guys, myself and another guy, bridged up to them, and then another another group another rider bridged up after I bridged up. So then it formed a group of six. And the reason I'm showing this video is just because this is how a break shouldn't work. Now, that's Craig Miller in the blue in front of me, who is a phenomenal sprinter. And Jerome Nadel on the front is also a phenomenal sprinter. And then the other three guys are non-sprinters. So I totally understand that they would want to get rid of us, but they weren't getting rid of us. So it just and you know it just ends up being just a really disorganized unit of riders. Yeah, I think there was one point during the race where I had said, "Hey, look, we need to work together. We need to take short pulls. You have one guy taking almost full lap pulls, and then one guy's pulling through and then immediately pulling off." And then the other guys are going, well, if he's not pulling, then I'm not pulling. And then the other guys get frustrated and they start attacking. And then next thing you know, you're wasting a lot of energy. So, you know, it's kind of breakaway 101 is you just got to work together if you want to try to, and you can sort it out in the end. I mean, if you want to try to get rid of the sprinters, then, when you get towards the end of the race, then you can start attacking, so forth. Well, we ended up lapping the field, which worked in my favor because I had two teammates in the break. And I think all of the guys had teammates in the break except for the guy in the white in front of me. I don't know what his name is. I've never seen him before. I think he may have been from out of town. Um, he was alone. He was a lone ranger. Andrew Knuckles in the orange right there. He had a teammate in the break, Tony. And I had Bart and John Slover in the break. I mean, in the pack. So when we lap the field, I have two guys to help me. So I was fine with lapping the field, but I would actually preferred if we just sorted it out with each other together. But it just didn't work out that way. So right now we're all rotating through pretty smooth. But Craig just does little baby pulls. He just pulls through and then pulls right off. But Kenny Rogers is the tall gentleman in front of me. The race series leader in the green is Michael Morrison. He's really strong rider, very aggressive. Kenny is just a beast. He's the one who towed me up to the break, and I was hanging on for dear life. He's uh he's a breakaway specialist. That's his thing. So, I do my share. I also wanted to post this video to show that I don't just sit in and sprint at the end of races. I'm doing my share of work. And then Jerome just rides away with, oops, sorry, that was a flash flood warning on my phone. I apologize. I don't think it was this lap, but it's another lap that's coming up where two guys just roll off the front and think that they have a gap, so then they just try to just throttle away, and then everybody else is just looking around like, you chase them, no, you chase them. So I end up having to chase them because I wanted to win this race. Jerome was riding really strong. There was a couple guys that were just taking hero pulls, but nobody was just sitting on. Everybody was taking their pulls. So there was no need to, try to ride anybody off the back or play any games. Let's see, and Jerome just pulls through really fast. I think he kind of knew that he had really good legs, so he was trying to push the pace just a little bit, just enough to make you work a little bit harder than the rest of them. Which I can respect that. That's if I had really, really good legs, which I didn't, I would be doing the same thing. This start finish was actually really fast. I mean, when you come out of that last turn and it's just a drag race to the line. Yeah, here's where these two just roll off and everybody just sits up and lets the gap open. And I'm like, come on, I just did my pull. Come on, guys. And I'm looking around and okay. And then they attack me. Yep. So then Michael and Kenny attack me, and then the other two guys are behind me, and they're like, nope. So I'm like, ah, crap. So I've got to dig deep and pull these guys back, or the race is up the road, because those are some strong dudes up front. All four of those guys are capable of just rolling off. So I've got to close this gap. But that takes a lot out of you. I definitely burned a bullet. Sometimes I have the philosophy that if you're going to attack me in a break and we're not working smooth together, I'm just going to sit on because I'm okay with the pack catching us and taking my chances with a pack sprint. But I don't know. Once we got back together, it started working smooth again. Knuckles takes a really long pull in the front, so it gives me kind of a chance to recover. That's the thing with Andrews. He's very strong and he can pull for a long ways at a pretty decent pace. But do you really need to do that? Or why? What's the purpose? Like, if you really want to win the race, you're not doing yourself any favors by showing everybody how strong you are. I tried to tell him that, and he just doesn't, he just didn't really understand what I was trying to say. But if you look at someone like Kenny, who's a very similar rider to Andrew, he takes just, normal length pulls, and then he goes back and recovers. But um, I think had we all stayed together and not lapped the field, those guys would have definitely started attacking. But the dynamic changes completely when you lap the field, and then you have multiple riders that are fairly fresh that can help, or you got guys intermingling at the front, and it just becomes a little bit of a mess. So, as a team, what you want to do when you lap the field is your teammates. What I wanted them to do for me was to just monitor the front and keep it stitched up and make sure nobody rolls off. Um, ride steady tempo if nobody's pulling through. Just ride a steady tempo in the front that kind of discourages anybody from attacking. The weather was, it was just wet and cold. See, there's Jerome's taking his pull. Just wet and nasty and cold, and I don't ride well in the cold. It's like it just my legs just don't really warm up, so I never really feel good. But I did okay. I hung in. I'm not gonna lie and say it felt great. See, there's the field in front of us, so we're just getting ready to lap the field. I'm actually yelling at my teammate, Bart, just to let him know that I'm coming. My other teammate, he must have attacked and had been up the road because we didn't I didn't see him in the field here. So then I'm telling Bart, hey, and those guys go right to the front and go straight through. And I think Andrew goes right to the front and attacks off the front. So I'm like, yep, that's so Bart's just gonna kind of yeah, so there goes Andrew taking off the front. And the guy that went with him wasn't in the break. So the only guy we really needed to worry about is Andrew. So Bart's gonna take the pace up here and just kind of keep him close because he's not going anywhere by himself. If he'd have had Kenny up there with him or Michael, I'd have been worried. But just Andrew by himself, the field is just too strong, and the guys behind me are not going to let him get away after all the work we did to lap the field. We're not going to just let him roll off the front. So Bart's just going to keep a nice steady pace here. I think we do end up passing John um, up ahead here. I don't know if he went for a preem and just kept rolling, but for whatever reason, he was off the front. It's rare that Bart's working for me, where it's usually the other way around because he's usually our protected sprinter. When he's on form, he's pretty unbeatable sometimes. If I have good legs and I can get him anywhere near the finish line, it's usually lights out. So he does almost a full lap. And so then Andrew's teammate comes flying around us and then tries to slow down. And he gets yelled at by about three or four people. And they're like, dude, that's not cool. That the trick to blocking for your teammate, and then he just pissed off Kenny, so then Kenny chases down Andrew. The trick to blocking for your teammate is to just sit right behind the guys that are chasing, and as soon as they elbow you through or they pull off, then you pull through, but you pull through at a really like kind of a blunted pace to where they don't think that you're really trying to slow them down, but you're also not chasing your teammate down. You're letting that gap grow, and it doesn't really disrupt the chase. It just kind of it doesn't help it. Put it that way. And then you can just rotate. Or the other thing to do is just rotate off. When you get to the front and it's you don't want to do any work to chase your teammate down. You just rotate off. But a lot of times people will just rotate through, but they'll slow the pace down 1 or 2 miles an hour, and then the guys behind you think that you're working on the front, but you really aren't. Your teammate's doing a lot more work in the breakaway up front. So, but, Andrew's coming back. Um, I think we're getting towards the lap cards here. I had forgot to delete the previous race that I had, so I had a road race on my camera, and so I ran out of space. My memory card, so my camera shuts off right about a lap and a half to go. So I was like, huh. So what ended up happening is we come down to Bell Lap, and Bart gets to the front, John gets to the front. He takes a steady pull, takes us into Bell Lap, and then Andrew's teammate Tony uh, goes to the front, takes a really hard pull, almost takes us into turn four, and then Bart takes over and takes me into the last turn, and then I come around him, and then I won the sprint and won the race outright. So um, yeah, it ended up working out really well. Um, I was able to recover enough to have some sprint left. I'm telling Andrew, please don't run us over that pothole anymore. He had taken us over this deep manhole cover like 3 laps in a row when he was on the front, and I finally said, "Dude, no more. Avoid that manhole cover because jarring my teeth." I realized I didn't want to be this far to the front, so I'm looking for my teammates, and I want to keep an eye on Kenny and Michael because I just had a feeling that they were going to try to jump us and attack. 'Cause they know that we're sprinters. That's one of Kenny's teammates there. Um, so Kenny had two teammates. He had Marvin and then this guy. I forget this guy's name. I apologize. Um, yeah, these two strong guys. So I thought, well, he's not really a sprinter, so I'm not really sure what they're going to do to help him. Um, Kenny's only chance really to win is to jump us and break away. And same with Michael. I mean, he's a decent sprinter, but he's not a pure sprinter. Like Jerome's a very good sprinter, and Craig Miller's a pure sprinter. I was actually worried about Craig, but he was 60 years old, so yeah. See, there's a rolling off the front again, so we got to close that gap down. I mean, when you get this far in the race, you're not just gonna let anybody ride away. Yeah, I came here to race. I came here to win, so got to hand it to Knuckles though. He definitely threw it down. He did his best to try to shake us and get away. That's mad respect for that. Yeah, there's my teammate John. So I'm just letting him know that we lapped the field. He's probably needs to go back and rest a little bit, but then he does come back up and do some work. It's like, all right, so I'm done. I'm done pulling. I want some of these other guys to help out, so I just kind of move over. And Andrew rolls off again and gets a little bit more of a leash, which I wasn't really too sure how strong he was and how much energy he had left, but then finally these guys start to pull through. There's Kenny. I really thought they were going to jump me. That was my biggest fear. I'm actually talking to Jerome right here. I said, you know who you need to worry about, right? And he said yes. Uh, he's a 60 plus, and Craig is a 60 plus. The rest of us are all 50 plus. So those two are technically right. No, actually, I take that back. The guy in the white jersey was also a 60 plus. So there's three 60s and three 50s in the break. Yeah, my camera's about ready to conk out here in a minute. But yeah, there's an attack. So we've got to close this one down. Dug a little deep for that one. Yeah, I definitely worked. I definitely worked for this one. This wasn't easy. I dug pretty deep quite a few times to close gaps and get up to the break. That took some effort too. So I felt good about this one. It was actually my first 55 plus race. I just aged up to the 55 to 59 group this year. So this was my first true 55 race. This was a 55-60. I think I said 50-60, but it was a 55-60 category. There was a 50 plus race later in the day, and we helped Bart get second place in that one. He actually got beat by Steve Remy in a pretty head fair mano a mano heads up sprint. Kudos to Steve for pulling that one off. Uh, this is pretty much how the video ends. Andrew just pulls around for, two more laps, and then we take over and do the lead out, and then I end up winning. So I'll go ahead and sign off now because my camera's just about to die. Anyways, thanks for watching, and next time I'll remember to keep my memory card clear. Later.